Okay, we're getting ready to go back together with this crankshaft, and before we put it back in the engine block, we need to measure the main bearing journals, which are these, and then we need to measure the rod bearing journals, which are these over here. And we're going to do that with a micrometer. So I've got my 1 to 2 inch micrometer, and one of the first things you need to do before you take your measurement is you have to wipe off any extra grease and oil that may be on the crankshaft. So take a rag and just kind of clean up your journal real good so that there's no leftover residue. So if you see on this main bearing journal here, you can see quite a bit of assembly lube from the last time this engine was assembled. So that'll need to be wiped clean before you actually take your measurement. And the reason you do that is because sometimes the grease can actually affect your measurement. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide the micrometer down on here until we get it to where it'll slide over the journal. So right there. So now the micrometer is sliding over the journal. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to tighten it down at the widest part of the journal. Okay. So, and you want to be careful because the jaws of the micrometer are hardened steel, and they can actually gouge the connecting or the journal. And so you want to be careful not to gouge the journal when you're doing this measurement. So okay, I've got a good measurement right there, so I'm going to lock the jaws and remove the caliper. So I've got my measurement here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it down. Now, just to remind you, on reading a micrometer, this is a 1 inch to 2 inch, so I'm already past the 1 inch, so that's going to be the first number is 1. And then this is measured in 25 thousandths, and so we're going to count over. I've got 4, and then I've got 3 hash marks that I can see, so that's 475, so that's 0.475. So we're going to have 1 and then 0.475. The next number, we're going to look at this number here on the thimble, and we're going to look at the number that is just below this line right here. So we're going to look at that, and then that's a 20. So you look at the 21 right up here is just above that line. The 20 is just below it, so that's a 20. So that's going to be 0.0020. And then the last number, we're going to line whatever these numbers line up at. So it looks like, where did it line up at? Looks like it lines up right over here at, that's 5. So that's going to be 0.0005. So let's go look at that and see what that looks like on paper. Okay, my first number is going to be 1.475. If you remember, that's what we had when you look at it right here. So we're already past the 1 mark, and then the other one was 4, and then there's 3 hash marks over, so that's 75. So 1.475. The second number was this one over here, which is 20, so 20. So that's going to be 0.020. So that's 0.020. And then the last number, we're going to find the one that lines up, which is right up here. It looks like this number here lines up with the thimble, and that's a 5. So that's 0.0005. And then we add all those up. So we got 5, 5, 9, 4, and then 1. So it's 1.4955. If we look at our spec sheet, our connecting rod journal, the diameter for all of them is 1.4952 to 1.4959. And we've got 1.4955. So we're right in the middle, which is perfect. So we're good on that journal. So you would measure the rod bearings, all of the rod bearings, all of the main bearings, and you're going to measure them the same way. And you want to measure them in two different ways, and I'll show you that. The first measurement is going to be this way, and then the second measurement, if we rotate the crankshaft over, is going to be this way. So basically what you're doing is you're measuring this way, and then you're measuring this way. And that way you can determine whether or not the journal is completely round. And the other thing that you want to measure too is you want to measure on this end and measure on this end over here. So measure on this side, you want to measure this way, and you want to measure this way. So that way you're making all these measurements just to make sure that this is completely round and true, and that there's no taper from one side to the other side.